everyone. This is Paola. I'm the founder of Fanm Djanm, and welcome to Conversations with Strong Women, episode 1. And today we have the lovely Sequoyah. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sequoyah. I am the creator of the Koi Collection, and here we make ceramics that inspire people to feel good and spark joy in everyday routines.
So I want to jump right into it. Your email signature. So what does it say?
It says ceramic goddess.
So
Yes.
How did you come up with that, and why do you go by that?
So I remember back in college, everyone was like, we're ceramicists. I was like, I really don't like the way that sounds. And I don't know, I really haven't really identified with a lot of the ceramic traditional ways that they make it and they glaze it and things like that. And so I noticed that I do kind of stick out a lot more. And so I just used that to feel like the goddess ness of my personality. And so I wanted to encompass both of those in my email. And I think too, I really do pride myself on being like an unprofessional professional. And so at first I didn't think I belonged in the professional business world because of that. But now I'm kind of just using that to embrace it. And so I think ceramic goddess, in addition to my blue text font, really, wraps that up into a bow and lets people know what they're going to get when they email me just in the first, the battleground at first, right? They're
Right.
coming, they're looking at my stuff, they're thinking it's crazy and wild and very colorful and stuff. And so I just like to carry that throughout.
So you get what you get.
You get what you get
There's
all
no
the
filter,
time.
All the time. This is me. I am
Exactly. Ceramic goddess.
ceramic goddess.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So you went to school for ceramics.
I did.
Can you tell us about that process? Do you see yourself, or you say that the traditional way of doing ceramics is very different than how you do it? So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I would say, just even like approaching ceramics traditionally, it's more about the process and it's more about kind of earth and earth tones. And so I know my instructor also really used more browns and I always also say, like, if I was making this work, he would probably smash it. So it's just less about like expression and more about like the clay as the medium. But as everyone may see, that I also do have like a lot of personality. And so I wanted to find a way to infuse, clay as the medium, but also some personality into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I know that you asked about my traditional background, but it kind of...
So this leads me into it. So you're in school and you said that if your ceramics professor saw the work that you do now, he would probably smash it. So knowing that as a student, how did you stay motivated to keep doing what you're doing and to find your voice? Because that's really hard.
So my work didn't look like this at all back in the day. It was very, again, like neutral tones. I remember trying to find really bright colors, and the closest I got was like a terracotta red. And so, I did struggle a lot, and I don't think my voice was conveyed back in college. I think also too, I started school as an artist, and that was my first time being an artist. I wasn't an artist previously. I didn't go to high school for art. And so it was a place of like finding my voice. I knew something was like kind of missing, but I also had to like get the grades to be able to do the thing. So I think my voice wasn't established until later. And even now, I think I'm still like kind of trying to find where I fit in, just because it does hurt sometimes, like hearing that negative voice in the back. And it's like, hey, like, you're not supposed to be kind of like painting these like fun things on ceramics, yet like it's what feels best for me. And so it's an interesting conundrum.
I know a little bit about you because we met last year. Was it last year or 2 years ago? We met 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So Renee, who works for Fanm Djanm and is a dear friend, she gifted me one of your classes or experiences.
Yes.
And then you showed up at our studio, and you had us do stuff with clay.
Yes.
And I will probably pop up my little basket that I made in this interview. I may or may not. It's embarrassing. But basically, we got fun, we got messy, and we created stuff. And that's how I met you for the first time. And I just loved your story because 2020 was such a hard year for Black people around the world. And it was so interesting because so many things started happening to many of us in the creative field. Can you tell us what 2020 did for your business, or what, if it did anything, or what does it signify, or what do you think that year meant to you in terms of being a pivotal stage in your career?
Yeah, so that, I mean, it was just definitely the year of pivoting for sure. And it also was the year that my business actually boomed. And so I think without 2020, I probably wouldn't be here today, honestly. I think I kind of like took all of that negative, it was just everything. It was not only COVID, it was like Black Lives, it was all of these like really deep conversations happening. And I just took that, and then I was able to kind of, again, pivot and just figure out what really things were meaning to me. I think everyone was really in like a deep mode of like thinking and really trying to figure out what was really working for them and cutting things that really weren't working. And so with that, I mean, I had made some mugs. I painted a smiley face on them because I was down and I was not feeling very good. And I wanted to I made 3. So just random little mugs that I had made that I wasn't selling. And I was advocating for myself. It was like, Black-owned businesses, like, give yourself a shout out. And so I posted on a couple of posts, and after that, it kind of blew up. And so it was like kind of an overnight success. Like I got picked up by the news. I had like a whole bunch of people featuring me. And so like it was just quite a tornado. And I think that was good. But I also think it was only good because it was, for me, I guess, I feel like I can thrive under pressure. I kept saying like some of the Black businesses that were able to like thrive also kind of had a downfall because it was just so much pressure and so much was demanded of them. Like they'd go like, I remember I had no orders and then I had 300. And so it was like, there was no like smooth transition. It was all like such a like boom. And so thankfully I was able to really get together and get everything up and going. And I mean, this business started in my house. So, we're all in COVID, and thankfully I had the means to be able to sustain what was going on. But I know like a lot of people, I just feel like it wasn't really talked about. A lot of people like having these booms, but then not knowing how to like maintain what's going on.
Let's get into your art a little bit. Let's get into it because you talked about how you painted 3 mugs in 2020 with the smiley face. And now the smiley face has become a huge theme in your work. Right. And we also talked about, not on camera, but personally, how you want to evolve, or at least you want to work on different things. Yes. So I'm going to grab one of these here. Okay. With all of the smiley faces, different colors. Or can you tell us about your process in general? Because you told me that you hand painted.
Right. I hand paint all of the products. Right. So I think for me, I know I've mentioned before, but I think the smiley faces for me just really represent that like one sticker, like you like want your teacher's approval. You want that like really good affirmation. And I think that's what it represents to me. And so when I'm painting them, I'm like, okay, like we're kind of like stickering up and really like starting to tap into that encouragement piece of what I feel like adulthood is lacking. I think for me, even that specific cup, the rainbows, is just like the diversification of like what joy can be. And I think for me, again, like my work, I think is really slightly controversial, but also very deep. I think it looks very simple. It looks very like exciting just at first glance. But again, for me, those are like very much diverse. We're all kind of looking for this odd type of joy, and it doesn't look the same for everyone. And I really like to have kind of a deeper message that I'm doing that maybe not other people know about, but And obviously art too is you take it and it means something to you and then you create that meaning for it. And so the process for me in terms of the reason why I paint everything is just because that like is the piece that I'm giving to the consumer. So
right. And then of course all of the smiley faces,
they're all different, right?
Right. And how did you come to just accepting them when the smiley face didn't look exactly like what you
that actually is my favorite part. I like that they're all very wonky. Sometimes the eyes are a little nuts. Sometimes the smile's like really wide and they look like an alien. And I think that's like also the fun part, right? Like the smiles, obviously it's a very common visual representation, but for me, I love the diversity and I never wanted it to be a perfect smile because that's not realistic.
Right. No, that's beautiful.
Thanks.
And then another, I guess, piece, or you have different pieces that stood out to me was this little crying guy right here. That's what I call
the crybaby. Yes,
the crybaby. So tell us the meaning behind this piece.
Yes. So I used to make baby heads in college as well, and they were kind of like an army and like an assembly line of kind of representing what we're supposed to be doing every day, kind of just like our work. And so they've kind of evolved. And this one for me is someone either crying tears of joy or stuck in this body that they should be like doing something else and feeling other things, but they're stuck doing kind of the assembly line things that they're doing daily. And so again, that's kind of where I live with it, but also for other people, I think it just, it is odd. And so I enjoy that part of it as well.
I want to talk about those words that you say you're writing them or you're painting them on the mugs as you're feeling them. Would you say that, I want to try to talk about your artwork and your Blackness.
Ooh.
And how, if you think about your Blackness and your artwork, or if you just think about you yourself as a human being while you're creating these things.
Great question. Wow. So I think I struggled with this a lot, especially during Black Lives Matter. So I feel like obviously I'm Black, but I never really identified as being like, oh, I'm a Black, like that is like what fuels my personality. And so then for that, I feel like I was like othered a lot. I was tokenized a lot. It was like, oh, this is my Black friend. She's real cool. It was like, she doesn't really act like Black. And so I think I tend to like shy away from that mentally just because it doesn't make me feel good that I have to be a certain way if I'm Black. And so it's a really intense like whirlwind in my mind, I think. I think too, I was like, if you look at my work, you wouldn't be like, oh, a Black person made that.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know how I feel about that because I feel like I've also been kind of put on a bit of a pedestal because I am Black and I am thriving in a really realistic way. So it is confusing.
It is confusing. I believe, in general, not as a creator, as a human being and consumer, that Black creators should not only create for Black people. I think they should be able to create for the world. Right? And then there are some Black creators who believe that, or who know, or who say that their lives or their mission in life is to create, to center and celebrate Black people or Blackness, right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that either. And I don't think it's a one size fits all scenario. I don't want people to say, you're a good businesswoman for a Black woman. I just want to be a good businesswoman,
period.
You know what I mean? Or I want to be a good creator. I just want to be great, and I want to be, and I want to feel that. I want to feel like I'm invited to the space because you want to have diversity versus me being good enough to be in this space.
And I think that's why it gets confusing, because I think my work right now is celebrating that as well, right? I think it just celebrates universal ideas which do fit into being a Black creator. it's really weird because I also do want to do work that has like more, not undertones of like celebrations of culture, but I mean, it was just everyone's Black upbringing it is completely different. And so obviously we're all kind of lumped into this community, but I just think broader terms. I think broader community, broader just humans on a human level. Like there is no person that's just like, oh, I'm only Black and that's like, there's nothing else about me.
Right.
Like it has to be a celebration of like all of the things.
But I do believe that has to be with where you grew up. Because to me, when I think about my work, one of the first things I think about is Blackness. But I think about Black, and again, we can define that in so many ways, right? When we think about shows like Insecure, people are like, yes, for the culture.
Right.
And I love it, but it's not my culture personally. Does that make sense?
Right. It's not, right, like you said, not a one size fits all. Right.
Absolutely. Maybe random questions now. Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Give me, and I hate those questions, honestly, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
First is going to be, give me 5 words that would best describe your work. Not your personality, not your life, but your work.
5 words that would best describe my work. I'm like cups. Colorful. I'd say fun, smiley, and unique.
3 words that would best describe your life right now, because it changes.
Yeah. 3 words that would best describe my life. Wild.
All right.
Fun and exciting.
Yes, I love it.
I'm like, yeah.
I love it. What is one motto? And I'm sure you have many that you live by.
Yeah, the one that always, when people ask
motto?
me, the one motto that always comes out when people ask me that question is, there are no prizes for suffering. So, you know, I find it sometimes where I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do that. And so when I'm in that mind space, I'm like, well, then why am I even guessing to do it? Because if I don't want to do it, then I shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
And just trusting that, then like internally trusting yourself.
How do you see yourself evolving?
I see myself evolving. Honestly, that's a really good question, because I think at this point I am just kind of letting the journey take me where it may. And again, as I said, I couldn't have even guessed like a year ago, if you would have told me I'd be here, I would not have even guessed that. So I like to leave it open-ended. I don't know what's going to happen. And I like not knowing.
I love that. Same. What do you want the world to know that I didn't ask you?
Man, I want the world to know that like you are capable of doing whatever you want to do, like truly. And I know that's kind of like a beaten saying that we've kind of been hearing, but I think we truly have the resilience and the capacity to do whatever we want to do. And I like to be the example of that. Because again, 3 years ago, if you would have told me I was painting hundreds and thousands of smiley faces on cups, I would have never guessed that. But it does truly bring me the most joy right now. And so I enjoy doing that. And giving yourself permission to do the things that you want to do is just the key to being happy.
What would you tell a little Black girl wanting to pursue a creative career?
Damn. Okay, man. I feel like I'm just like even thinking about younger self, and that similar to what I said before, like you again are not a product of your environment. You can do whatever you want to do.
So Fanm Djanm means strong woman in Haitian Creole.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to wrap it up with, what do you think a strong woman means to you? What does it take to be a strong woman?
Damn. Wow. I think to be a strong woman, you have to be able to look inward and do some work and really show up however you show up. I think I just think about younger self and just like even the Black women in my life. It just seems like they haven't been able to express themselves the way they really wanted to. So that then kind of gets determined as bitter or like upset or, you know, these negative connotations that Black women have. And I think it really is being able to not be a product of your environment if it is negative. Mm-hmm. To be strong, I think, is to be able to, I wanted to say be weak, but not even weak, but be vulnerable, right? Mm-hmm. Right. To be able to understand that you are multifaceted.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So this wraps up our first episode of Conversations with Strong Women, featuring Sequoyah of the Koi Collection. Thank you for joining us.
Yay!
Cheers.
Cheers.
We gotta look at that.